Hello and welcome back to the Champions Showdown for the final round. And the situation is the following. Magnus, Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura are leading, as basically always in the past, I don't know how many months. And then Levon Aronian is chasing by a half point. And to make it even more interesting, Aronian and Carlsen are playing against each other in this last round. So I'm going to show you the games, but first I will give you some sort of a teaser clip. So I will show some seconds of the webcam footage from first Nakamura and then Carlsen. So let's take a look. So here is Nakamura, and yeah, this is a few seconds from what his reaction was at some point. So yeah, you can see he's very, very, very unhappy. Now he's looking at his screen, and yeah, so he's expressing himself. And now let's also move to Magnus Carlsen. So here comes the footage from Carlsen. So he's just shaking his head, going a bit backwards, and yeah, also very, very unhappy camper. So yeah, these are the two footages, and now let's dive into the game. So let's jump into the endgame between Magnus Carlsen and Levon Aronian. Yes, I'm not going to show a footage from Aronian because he has the perfect poker face, so you would not see anything anyway. So let's see it. Let's take a look at the endgame. So it's Carlsen's move. It's white to move. While black is certainly knight e5. Yeah, but if we evaluate the position, we can see that actually white is doing very well. His pieces are quite passive on the black side, and there's also the chance here for white to create a passed pawn. And well, also this g7 pawn is pretty much fixed and could be a weakness later. While black's counterplay is obviously in the queen side, trying to either push this a pawn or trying to exchange some pawns and create his own passed pawn. So let's see how the game goes. So there's knight e5 threat, so Carlsen went on with king d2, knight e5, bishop e2, comes bishop f7 activating his bishop, and now it is a time for Carlsen to push, so he played the move g5. And after takes, Aronian decided to play the move knight c6. Actually, no. Aronian decided to exchange first on b4, cb, and now knight c6. So here Aronian would like to eliminate some pressure from himself, but it's quite clear that white is doing very well. So if you take on c6, takes back, comes g6, bishop d5 for example, and here could come knight g3, with the idea of knight h5, knight g7, and even though black can also take a pawn, the white pawns are so much closer to the 8th rank that the blacks are to the first rank to change to a queen. That's, yeah, white's advantage is just huge. However, Carlsen decided that, well, if he keeps his knight on e7, then this bishop cannot go to d5. So he decided that the very precise move order is to start with g6. And this is actually the point when the footage came in. So Aronian just took on e7, and then Carlsen realized that when he takes the bishop, which he did, then there is this knight that can take the pawn. So basically Carlsen overlooked that this knight can also take on f7, because initially Carlsen thought that, well, f8 queen is coming and he's just winning. But that's not the case. There is this knight that can take the pawn, and now actually black is up a pawn. But it's quite clear that Carlsen has enough to actually hold the draw. So comes f6, and that will be only just pawns on one side, and the game quickly ended up actually in a draw. So knight d6, king c3, b5, bishop f3, c6, king d4. Actually, it's not very interesting because it's very easy to draw this endgame. Knight b7, bishop b2. It's very hard to do anything with black, even well, despite the advantage of the pawn. And here Carlsen had the chance to quickly eliminate everything. Takes, and he's gonna take the last pawn of black. So they agreed to a draw in this position. So Carlsen only made a draw. So if Nakamura manages to win that, he is going to be the champion. So let's take a look at Nakamura's game now. So we are to the Nakamura Peter Svidler game. I'm going to show you the whole game this time. So let's take a look at the starting position. So rook is as normal, Here is the king next to it. There's the bishop here. Queen is its usual position. There's the rook already on the e file, the bishop as always, and the two knights in the corner. So the opening move actually is quite clear how white would try to go about it. So making e4, opening up this bishop, and then trying to move your d pawn, opening out the other bishop, and then the knights can go to f3 and g3. We are very quickly going to get a normal position. So, but black decided to play quite interestingly. Svidler played the move d5. So the idea is that compared to normal openings, if white were to take, then after queen d5 there is no knight c3 coming chasing the queen. So d5 makes a lot of sense. And here Nakamura played the move e5, and after bishop f5 it seems like a sort of an advanced Caro-Kann, and also knight g3 comes as a very normal move attacking this bishop. It becomes clear that actually it's a very good opening for white, because after bishop g6, say h4, h6, h5, moving it back, and d4, e6, we are having an advanced Caro-Kann, but these two knights are just horrible, especially the knight on h8. It's very unclear how and when it could ever come out. So the game went on bishop d3, f takes d3. Now there's a huge threat of just playing queen h7 and immediately collecting some pieces there. So black has to play the move f5. And here Nakamura just played a really horrible move. So he has a huge space advantage, and putting any knight on f4 makes the most sense in this position, either like this or the other knight to f4. And well, white's space advantage is just huge. But he decided to just simply give up at this and play the move a takes f6. And after queen takes f6, actually black is about to get out of this very cramped position. So comes knight f3, knight f7. Now Nakamura plays the move knight h2. And actually in the after game interview, Nakamura said that well, in a normal game, if you're making a mistake, that usually happens in the middle game or end game, so that the game is going to end very, very quickly. Actually, there's not much left. However, if you do it in Fischer chess, when there is just random position and you make a mistake at move 5, then there is still a whole game to be played, which is psychologically quite hard. So he said that he felt very bad at this point, even though the position is still not that bad for for white, but it's the position that still Nakamura felt that it's bad. So here comes a specific random chess move. So this is this castling. So go to c8 and d8. Comes knight g4. Now queen h4 is a very important idea, not only attacking this knight, but later also hinting towards getting in. So normally the white king would be on g1, guarding all these squares, but here the king is at the other side and it's not guarding the squares. So black is slowly but surely taking over the game. Comes knight e5, takes, knight e7. So finally the knights, which few moves ago won just g8 and h8 without any future, now they are out. Bishop d2, knight c6, f4, bishop c5. Black is doing very nicely here. Here comes another nice move from Svidler, queen h2, with the idea just simply taking a pawn. It's not easy to defend, because if you move your queen around, say queen f3 or something, then comes knight d4, chasing it further, activating the knight. So well, black is doing very well here. So Nakamura decided that there's no way he could defend a pawn, just play the move a3. Now comes queen g2, king a2, bishop f2 attacking the knight, knight h1 back, rook f3, knight e4, rook g3, queen e4 offering the trade of queens. So knight f2, actually this is happening. And if we stop here for a moment, well, we could say that black is simply up a pawn. He has theoretically the better bishop. These pawns could be weak. The only counterplay is really towards the g7 pawn. So according to the computer, the easiest way would be just take on c2, then slowly go back with the knight, and then just march these central pawns all the way down the board. But well, Svidler decided to keep this g7 pawn, which is not a mistake, and now he's pushing his pawns. He's just pushing it. Well, knight g3 is an important move to eliminate this knight to get finally some kind of counterplay. Takes, king d7. And actually the game goes on quite normally. We could expect that black is going to convert the advantage. Simply up a pawn. It's hard to defend. So the idea is with c3 is to start exchanging some pawns. If you play d3, then could be b3 coming, and when you take here, this d3 pawn is not possible to defend. But Svidler is of course better than this. He just played king c6, activating his king, and after takes, he is also preparing to play b5. Comes rook c1, b5. a4 is actually a knight idea though. So if you are done material in the endgame, you are done pawns, then you are trying to actually exchange the pawns so that you will have some chance to survive. And if you are off material, then usually try to exchange the pieces and not the pawns. So here it goes rook b8, and this is the critical point of the game. So here Nakamura took on b5, and actually Svidler here blundered. So here you can stop the clock and try to figure out how to continue. So actually the idea is that now Nakamura is quite close to exchanging all the pawns, and what he obviously wants is just to take this pawn. And here by far the best idea would be to just neglect this pawn for a while, play queen d5 protecting this pawn, and eyeing to take back with the rook. And if you try to play b3, which makes sense, exchanging further, then after cb, rook b, you can reinforce your rooks, and once again the threat is to take, and while blacking is way too active here. If you play rook b1, there could be a4 coming, so well, black is doing really well here. However, Svidler decided to just take back the pawn, completely forgetting that, well, his c4 pawn is hanging. And after queen d5, which looks like a sort of double attack because this rook is hanging and also the bishop is hanging, black could just simply play the move b3, stabilizing. And here comes the idea of Nakamura, rook d3, and well, there is some problem with this bishop, and the king is now all of a sudden not that strong, but actually quite weak. And in this position, actually Nakamura offered a draw, which Svidler took. The reason for agreeing to a draw is that basically rook c5 forces the exchange of many pieces, so the best reply here is to take on d4 and eliminate the whole thing towards a rook ending, which is obviously going to be a draw. So king c5, say king e3. If you take here, white takes there, and there will be no pawns left very soon. So this game also ended in a draw, meaning that Nakamura and Carlsen actually tied for the first place. And while in this tournament there is no Armageddon any further, they just agreed to the tie and they are co-champions. So congratulations to Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura for winning another tournament. And now we are all set to the main event. So these guys are also going to play a Rapid and Blaze tournament. So see you in those games.